Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you the different types of data types in JavaScript to help you build a foundation of your JavaScript day-to-day coding. Understanding data types in JavaScript helps you work with advanced concepts and write your code with a better understanding instead of just copying and pasting code snippets. By the end of this video, you should understand all the data types in JavaScript. Let's begin now. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to outline all the data types in JavaScript, both the primitive data types and the reference data types. I'm going to take specific examples to help you understand the data types in JavaScript. Ideally, understanding data types in JavaScript allows you to understand the language, not to just copy paste code without understanding what's happening. It also gives you a good foundation if you're going to learn more JavaScript frameworks, and it makes it easier for you to become an engineer as opposed to just being a copy paste programmer. So on my desktop here, I have a VS Code as always instance open. Today I don't have an index.html, so I would like to begin by creating an index.html file. Then I have on my right here an instance of VS Code open. So I'd like to begin by creating a basic template HTML template. So we have a basic HTML template. I would like to enlarge this so that it's easier. So we are looking at JavaScript data types. So then we need a JS file. Then we need to, of course, include it in the header here. In JavaScript, there are about 7 primitive data types. These primitive data types include the number, which allows us to declare integers. Then we have the string, we have the boolean, we have the undefined, the null, the symbol, and the big integer. So I'm going to begin by showing you what a number data types is. So ideally, I would like to first see if we can have this refresh. Then we open the console for us to clearly see what's happening as we write the code. So I like this to move it to the right so that we have it well aligned. So I'd like to test this. So we do some console.log. Then we're testing, so we can log the console. So live server is working. So let's get into it. First, the first data type is a number. So for a number, we can declare something like using the let keyword, num is equals to 20. Unlike other 23, unlike other data types in all like in other languages, like if you come from different languages or if you've looked at other languages, you'll find like they declare data types strictly. So like Java or for me, I began writing PHP. So in PHP, there is no typecasting. So also unless the modern one. So in JavaScript, it's a dynamically typed language. So it means like variables can change. And it's like sometimes very confusing for beginners who come from other languages that are strictly typed. So we can log this on the console and see. So that's the. Then we can test. We can just type. Then we pass this. Get rid of this. So that data type is a number. In JavaScript, use this type of function. And search it here. We see what it does on its documentation. So this type of it determines, like it allows you to see what data type is. It's a function. So that is the first data type in JavaScript. And under this, we just need to right, these are the primitive. So this is the first. The second is a string. You simply write a string by adding quotes, then putting in the name here, like hello. So this is the second data type in JavaScript. So I'd like to pass it there. Then on our console here, we can see the data type is a string. So we can as well just log it by getting rid of this, and it logs on the screen the content of the string. When you're writing strings, you can use double or single quotes in JavaScript. For me, I prefer to use double quotes for most strings. So that's the second data type, a primitive data type in should be string in JavaScript. Then the third is a boolean. Boolean is a true or false. Uh, a true or false. So we can do something like let true be equal to true. So that's a, so once we console log this, it's going to give us true. There's an error here, so we need to correct that. True. If we change this to false, it will of course give us false. Then we can check this using type of function to check which data type is that. It's a boolean. So that is the third primitive data type in JavaScript. So go to the fourth. The fourth is undefined. So when I started writing JavaScript, I really did not understand what undefined was. So I would write some code, then on the console, I would find like this message undefined. Then I struggled for a long time to understand. And the reason I struggled for a long time to understand what undefined means in JavaScript and null, undefined and null, it's because I did not pay attention. I just started writing JavaScript just on the projects that I was working on. I did not take time to understand what data types are and how they work in JavaScript. So this tutorial should give you a foundation on data types, and it should help you avoid such mistakes. So the other one is undefined. Undefined simply means like we have defined a variable, like we can do let undefined. Because undefined in JavaScript, it simply means you have created the variable, but you've not assigned a value. So for example, if we do this, we copy this and we paste it here, we check its type, it should be undefined. Then we save, it gives us undefined. So this is a very important data type you need to understand for you to master JavaScript basics. Like whenever you see undefined, it simply means like the variable has been declared but has not been given the value. So if we give this like the value of a number, suppose we do it as 30, and you see it gives us the number. So it's no longer undefined. We can also give this as a string. So we can do a string like hello. So it's going to give us a string. The type of this variable is going to be a string. Simply, once a variable has been declared but not given a value, it gives us undefined. So that's the fourth primitive data type in JavaScript. The fifth data type is null. This is another confusing data type in JavaScript, which simply means there is an intentional absence of a value. So you just set it to null because maybe you expect it to the data should be, or the value of that particular variable should be filled in as as you progress with your script. So we can do something like let null var be equal to null. Then something about null, like if we try to log this here, will give us an object. This will definitely be an object. But now if we console log not the type of, if you just did like null, this will give us null. So whenever you come across this, it means like this has been set to null, and you should distinguish this between this and undefined. For example, if we do that, it's going to return undefined. So that's something that as a foundation of JavaScript, you really need to understand. Another data type in JavaScript is symbols. This was introduced in ES6. Symbols, unlike numbers and strings, they are guaranteed to be unique. They are often used in object as the keys, as I'm going to illustrate here. So I'd like to create a symbol here. So creating a symbol is just like you do something like const, then var symbol. This should be equal to, you give it you use the symbol keyword there, then you give it a description, like you can just write a description here, description. Then we can now console log this to see what's this, and it gives us the value of the description. But now if we did type of, it's going to give us the data type as symbol. So symbols are rather complicated for beginners to understand, but I would like to give you one tip that on how symbols are used. So ideally, you'll come across symbols used this way. Once a symbol is declared, you're going to have an object. You can have something like an object, maybe you call it object, and this object will have, now here is where you use a symbol. So as the key in this object, then we can now declare our symbol here, and just copy this. Then we can give it a description like so. Then once we give that a description, then we of course close this with a semicolon. Then we can now access the property, this property now, using the symbol key. So let me just write this. So how do we access it? So we can do something like console.log. Then we call the object. Then we pass in the symbol. Then I like to get rid of this to avoid confusion. Then it gives us this description here. This is a very common pattern you're going to see used where symbols are used as keys to an object. So that's how symbols are used. So the next data type is a primitive data type is big integer or big int. Big int is used to, you can do something like this is equals to a number. So it's used to hold numbers that the numbers data type cannot hold. So suppose we log this here, then we give it a type of check. What type is this? It's still a number, but maybe we can add an n here, and it gives us big integer. That is the big integer data type. Mostly you're going to use it when you're dealing with large numbers, and those numbers cannot be used as numbers. So as the numbers data type. So those are the 7 primitive data types in JavaScript. I would like to just point out what you need to pay attention to. You're going to get used to strings, numbers, booleans, but undefined and null, and a symbol if you're using the modern JavaScript, which is advisable. Those are the 3 most confusing for beginners. The other data types are the reference data types. So let's look at the reference data types in JavaScript. Reference data types in JavaScript include the object, the array, functions, date, regular expressions, maps, and sets. So I'll begin with the first reference data type, which is an object. Objects are very common. They are collection of key value pairs where the keys are strings, but uh, the type, the value can be anything. So we define an object using a keyword const because we don't intend to change them. So that can be an object. Then that object, let's use a practical example. Suppose we are describing a person. Then we put those curly brackets. That's how we define an object. A person can have a name. So now here we have the key. Then the name can be a string like Joe Doe. Then in here we put a comma. Then you can give this a number like age. Age is definitely a number. Joe Doe, who is 21. So I would like to console log this object. And we see once we console log it, it's an object. Then we can always add, when you are console logging, you can add a message here, person object. Then it's going to give us like a very nice text here to just show what you're dealing with here if you're dealing with multiple objects. Then objects can be accessed using the dot notation and the quotation notation. I would like to now use the type of. So we would like to run type of here to see what data type this is, and the data type is an object. So that's the first reference data type in JavaScript. The second is an array. An array is simply a special collection of values. So how we define it, we use the const keyword, then we give it the name, fruits, suppose that's what we are looking for. Here we can have an apple, then you can have orange, then you can have banana. So then once we console log this, pay attention to what will happen here. The type of is an object. Arrays in JavaScript are objects. Then another reference data type is functions. So let's see, we can write a function using the let keyword. Then the function can be which data. Then we can say this will be equal to an arrow function. If you'd like to learn more about arrow function, you can check out my other tutorial on how to write arrow functions and the different types of arrow functions. So we can return just a simple message here, a string. So that's a simple function. Then we can console log this to see what it is. So we console log that, and it's a function. So that's another reference data type in JavaScript. Then another reference data type is the date. So in JavaScript, we just do something like let day be equal to new. Then we use the date object. Then we can console log today here. Then a date is usually an object. So then we can do like, we can remove the type of and see what happens. It's going to give us the date today and the time location. So that's another data type in JavaScript, reference data type. The fifth, which is regular expression. Regular expressions allow you to sort strings, like you can declare something like const should be equals to some pattern. Then we can do console log this. I don't know what to expect. Let's see. It just gives us a pattern. Then we can do a type of, see, I don't know what to expect here. Let's see. It's an object. That's another data type. So you can learn more about regular expressions in JavaScript using another tutorial I'll share on this channel. So the last data type, which is reference data type, is the map and set. Map and set are very confusing for beginners, and they're often, you're going to come across them in a lot of like in React. They are a big thing. So without understanding them from the basic point of view, from the foundations, it's going to be just copying code, not understanding what's happening. So it's good to begin by understanding them. So I would like to begin here. Maps in JavaScript data type is a data type that allow us to store key value pairs. So how you declare a map, you do something like const example map is equals to, then you create a new use the new keyword. That's how you create a map. Then once you've created a map, you can go ahead to add value key value pairs. So you can use the set method. So you can do example map dot set. The set method, it's a method inside this object map object. Then this set, you can add something like a name. Then in the name you put a comma, then you give the value, it's key value. So the name is Joe. Then you can also set the age. Again, you do dot set. Set is a method. So here we do age, then the age, we give it 21. You can add an extra example dot set. We can add is cool. We try a boolean, then the value has to be true. Simply what you're doing here, we are creating a map, then setting the value. We're using the set method. It's a method in this object, don't forget that bit. So we close this, then we now access the values. How we can access the values of this, we use another method called get. So you can do something like console.log. Then in here we pass in the example, then we access it using a method called get. This get then pass in the value, which is name. So we console log this to see what happens. And there is an error, map is not defined. So map is not defined. Why is it not defined? So we look at our code, what's happening. We have map here, then map, this returns undefined. So it's because of the name. This is small, and it gives us the value. So do not forget, in JavaScript, case variables, when you're writing variables in JavaScript, they're case sensitive. So we can also find age. So this is how you use maps in JavaScript. Then, since we'd like to find, we are learning about data types, let's try and find the type of. So, and it's an object, yeah, as it should. It's supposed to be an object. So that's how you use a map. You can also loop through the map. Looping through a map, you do something like example. Then you'd use for each. Then in here we pass the value, then key. Then we close this. This should be the closing. Then in here we put the arrow symbol to now get the loop work. Then this should be closed. Then we can close that with a colon. So this is how you loop through. This is very common in the frameworks. Then we can console.log. What are we logging here? We are going to log. We can use the backtick syntax so that we log the key value pairs. So here we get the key, we get the value. So what are we not getting right here? So let's close and see. We are missing a bracket. There must be a missing bracket somewhere. So we look at the lint, there is a comma somewhere missing. So then we get rid of this. Then let's console log and see. But seems like there is an issue here. There must be an issue. This is the value, this is the key. So let's see. We need to surround this with curly bracket. And this should be surrounded with curly brackets. That's how it should be. Yes. And there we are. We learn from making mistakes. Don't fear to make mistakes once you are coding. It's a normal day thing. Sometimes you watch tutorials that are perfect, but I like making mistakes as I code and as you watch, because that gives you the insight. Like you're not going to memorize all the syntax, or you're not going to know everything. Sometimes you make a mistake, then you learn from it. So like a mistake we have learned from here is when you're outputting using this backtick syntax, you need to wrap the value and the key using curly brackets. So that's how you use a map. The set are similar, and you can find out more about maps and set using another video that I have posted in this channel. As always, thank you for watching up to this point, and if you gain value from this videos, kindly consider giving this video a thumbs up. It's a encouragement. I hope by the end of this video, you've learned something new about data types in JavaScript. If you found this video useful, kindly consider giving it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe. If you have further questions, kindly write in the comment section below or use the link in the description to get in touch. Thank you.